Hey guys, it's Miss Info here, Miss Public Info here. Um, Here on this Sunday, happy to see all of y'all. I don't see y'all, but y'all see me. Happy to be here. Happy for you guys to see me. So I wanted to do kind of like a vid on this upcoming week, as I shared with you in one of the last episodes I did. Um, you know, Diddy is going to, or Sean Combs' team is going to start their case on Tuesday, and they will, at the earliest, rest on Tuesday, the end of Tuesday, and then at the latest, rest on Wednesday at some point. So I want to talk about three things that, from my standpoint, having worked years in the court system, I am not a lawyer. Let me say this in the very funny way that Harvey Levin says it on TMZ. He says he is a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. Well, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. So I'm not a lawyer. For all the lawyers in the house that may be listening, watching, I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be, but I have spent some time in the court system. I was a public information officer for one of the largest district attorney's offices in the United States. I was the public information officer for the largest metropolitan district in the state of Colorado, and that was Arapahoe County, the 18th district. And now it's chopped up into different areas, but at the time it was the largest. Arapahoe County is also where the Aurora Theater shooting happened. I was the public information officer that handled the first 6 months of that tragedy. I am very well versed in high profile cases of high stakes. I've handled at least two death penalty cases in the state of Colorado as a public information officer, including the ongoing appeals processes that followed. Now the death penalty in the state of Colorado has been eradicated, so that's no longer, but at the time I was handling all of that and disseminating the information that was coming out of those cases to the press, to the constituents of that district and state. So I am qualified to speak on legal proceedings, court proceedings, and have done my due diligence to speak on such topics. I will never overstep, and I will also bring in an expert if I ever need to. But I want to bring in a few experts. I'm going to have guests as my subscriber numbers, roll in. I want to have guests. I want to have people come in. I want to have live streams where I have guests and experts where you guys can ask questions, lawyers, people I've worked with in the court system, other public information officers to share their stories there's a lot of incredible public information officers that I know who have some incredible stories, incredible experiences dealing with a lot of high profile cases as well. That said, I want to sort of give three things that I think we should be looking out for with the Sean Combs case in terms of what the defense might be, what they're going to do. Now, number one, I think everybody is really looking to see if Sean Combs' team is going to bring in his right hand, which is Miss Kokorium. I know I'm not saying her name correctly, but this is the Christina Kokorium young lady who is the chief of staff for Combs Enterprises for Sean Combs. And everyone wants to see if, she is going to be his witness. Is he going to call her to the stand? This is something that everyone is like waiting on pins and needles for, because everyone and their mother was sure that she had gotten immunity from the government and that the government was going to call her as a witness, but that never happened. So she either never flipped, or she, which is the side I'm leaning on, I'm not supposed to say that since I'm supposed to be unbiased and let you guys decide for yourselves, but or she's she's an unindicted co-conspirator. Like, maybe after, if Combs is convicted, maybe she's will also be convicted as well if she doesn't testify, if he doesn't, bring her on as a witness. It's quite possible he does bring her on as a witness. Like, I would not be surprised if she ended up being a witness in this case. But if she is a witness in the case, she will probably be on that stand all week. So I do not think that she's going to be a witness on the case, because they have already stated that they're looking to close their case in like a day. They're looking to do a 24-hour to 48-hour turnaround on their case. So whomever they have as witnesses to testify on Combs's behalf are not heavy hitters like this woman, Christina Corium, who they refer to as KK. That's not who it is. Because the government would have her on the stand for days, because the government has mentioned her throughout their case. I mean, she has been in everything. She's in all the receipts that they've laid out. She's in everything, particularly in this with the summary witnesses. And again, the summary witnesses are the Homeland Security investigation agents who went in to enact a warrant on the properties at Mapleton, the property at Two Star Island. And so they're the ones that sort of lay out the receipts and sort of build up this case, this RICO case, and sort of lay out the RICO case so that it is visible and makes sense for the jury. So it's in material. It's something that the jury can actually tangibly see and make sense for them. And it's not just something that they're sort of like trying to figure out how to piece together in their head. So those summary witnesses, when they were bringing those receipts together, they definitely mentioned KK throughout their testimony. So that'll be interesting. The second thing to try to see is Sean Combs getting on the stand? I mean, this is a man who is not doesn't look kindly upon leaving his own fate into someone else's hands. And even throughout the trial court process thus far, you can tell that he has been itching to speak, itching to have interactions with people, with the jury, with his own, lawyers, with people who have been on the stand, shaking his head, nodding to the jury, nodding in agreement or even disagreement at some points to some people on the stand. So I would not be exactly shocked if he would be on the stand, but got on the stand, but it is my experience that defendants rarely get on the stand, because I think that lawyers understand, obviously, they understand how dangerous it is to put a defendant on the stand. I mean, you, again, put him on a hot seat on the stand for the government to query about whether or not he was at this place, that place, what he did when he was there, and why, and who, and when. This guy's going to be on the stand this time next year. You know what I mean? So, again, since the defense has already laid out that they plan to do a 24 to 48 hour case, to lay out a 24 to 48 hour case, I don't think that we can expect the defendants to get on the stand. But I would say it would not be completely surprising based upon who the defendant is. Mr. Combs is very self-assured. He's very confident. He is very much a man who has always taken things into his own hands, taking his own, life and what he's doing, his own success into his own hands. So that would not necessarily be like very surprising. And then third is Gina Hung. I think that's how you say her last name. Is she going to testify on Sean Combs' behalf? Now, Gina was she was subpoenaed by the government, and she never showed. She never showed. People say she's missing. Some people say she's been paid off. Other people say she doesn't care. Others say she's missing like Jimmy Hoffa. Like, I don't know. No one knows where she is, in other words. Not that she's like, deceased, but that she's missing. Like, no one knows where she is. Like Jimmy Hoffa, So, it would be a surprise if she popped up and the defense had her as a surprise witness. So I am just as anxious as anyone else to see, who the defense has. They're supposed to, call 3 witnesses, I'm hearing. And where it feels like, they're gonna come up with someone, somewhere, So, also, is it possible that Kanye West is gonna be a witness, I'm going to say no to that, because normally when someone is going to be a witness on a case, they do not allow that person to watch from the gallery. So as I told you guys in a previous episode, he's on the friends and family list. And of course, he made a big scene about coming to the courthouse and everything. So I'm very doubtful that he's going to be called, because he's been allowed to come into the courthouse and everything. The reason they don't allow anyone who's going to testify to actually watch any of the trial before they testify is because they don't want anyone to be prejudiced. They don't want the testimony that they're going to give to be prejudiced. So they don't allow them to watch any of it prior to giving their testimony, which, by the way, is the reason Alex Fine, Cassie's husband, was kind of shooed out of there, because the defense sort of gave it away very early on that they might call Mr. Fine as a witness. So it's very likely, or not very likely, but it's likely maybe that we might see Mr. Fine on the stand sometime this coming week for the defense. They did make that notation, as I recall, at the very beginning of the trial. So I think we're all just in for some more surprises. The fact that this trial is going to be over quite soon, and this has been a month-long trial, is really surprising. I think we're all having our guesses on what's going to happen. I want to know what you guys think, so definitely let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen, who you think is going to, be witnesses, who you'd like to see as a witness for the defense, and let's just ride this thing out together. I'll be back tomorrow with a day 28 recap for you. I'll try to make it more concise than the last one. Last one was kind of long because I needed to sort of catch you up, since it was the first recap that I was doing. But yes, I will be back with you guys tomorrow. So stay tuned. All right, court's adjourned. See you guys soon. Take care and be safe and stay out of trouble.